Gerhard Bloom, once again, looking at the tyranny and the delusions of the social justice movement. So recently, Tucker Carlson on X has Douglas McGregor on. They're talking about the Ukraine conflict, the war in Israel, and basically the consensus they arrive at is the United States needs to stay out of this. I think this is a dangerous blurring of issues here. I'm on their side with respect to Ukraine. I was talking to a friend recently. He was talking about Ukraine and analogies to World War II. No, the analogy here is to World War I. Both sides dug in, Western Front, trench warfare. This is what we're dealing with here. So billions and billions of dollars of aid and material is getting chewed up and nothing has happened. Ukraine is not going to defeat Russia, and all the credit in the world to the brave Ukrainians fighting. They're not going to beat Russia. Russia has 3 times the men, and I believe it's like 10 times the economy. So no, there's the United States, it's bankrolling this, needs to tell Zelensky, cut a deal here. Crimea, you lost Crimea back in 2014. So make a deal. Putin and Russia get to keep Crimea. The Donbass, find some kind of reasonable accommodation. It's majority ethnically Russian. If it means ceding that territory over to Russia, guarantee no NATO membership in Ukraine, but significant Western military equipment sales so it could defend itself, and some guarantees to Russia that, it's going to stay neutral. It will not joining the EU, not joining NATO. It's going to mind its own business. Look at Ukraine, looking after Ukrainians, no broader geopolitical interest. For centuries, Russia has always jealously guarded its western flank. That's where the armies of Napoleon marched through. That's where the Nazi war machine marched through. So you might not think it's a threat in today's enlightened and civilized age. Russia does care. So cut a deal. With respect to Israel, this is on a different order. The United States, and I mentioned this before, there is absolutely no real geostrategic interest in Ukraine for the Western world. There are not. And I'm deeply sympathetic. Yes, Russia has committed grievous war crimes. Sometimes in history, the bad guy gets away with the crime. We need to minimize this. Fighting this endless war, is just going to chew up billions of dollars again in, funding and armaments, which may very well be desperately needed in Israel and may be needed to defend Taiwan, which we also have significant geostrategic interests in, right? Like 90% of the advanced microchips, the microchips that we need in cruise missiles and advanced weapon systems from Taiwan. This could be a serious problem. But at any rate, Iran is the catalyst for all of this chaos. There's recent credible reporting that as many as 500 militant killers received advanced military training in Iran. Right, the IRGC and its Quds force, that's its specialist force, provided these killers, the training and advanced techniques. And this is why, when you analyze terrorist threats, right, you look at capabilities and intent. So yes, Israel intelligence obviously knew, Hamas, a murderous organization with a genocidal intent. Capability. This is where, Israel got caught flat-footed. Nobody expected them to be able to mount such a sophisticated and large-scale attack. You can thank Iran for this. Now, there's been some speculation on why the pause on the ground invasion. here's my theory, right? Yes, there's some ongoing negotiation to get the hostages out. That might very well be a part of it. I think the most significant factor is, over the last 2 weeks since the October 7th slaughter of Israeli citizens and the war, American troops, there's been more than a dozen drone and missile attacks, right, on American troops, about 30 American casualties. And yes, I know, there are people criticizing why hasn't the United States responded back. There has been some limited response, but it's been limited. While I am speaking, there are about a dozen advanced air defense systems being sent over to the region. So they're getting pre-positioned so that the American forces there, if they get under sustained attack, if this ramps up, the U.S. military can strike and strike hard, right? But in the absence of these air defense systems, they could be extremely vulnerable and exposed. So I think that's my best guess. And people are third world war. Look, China is not going to get involved in a third world war over Iran and Hezbollah. It is not. And Russia, even if it was so inclined to, it's being bled dry in Ukraine. So no, it's not going to go to war, the United States over Iran. And my theory of what should happen, I don't know if that's going to be the case. If Israel goes in to Gaza, Hezbollah minds its own business, no problems. But if it launches, it's got over 100,000 missiles, and these are much more advanced than the rockets and missiles that are being launched from Hamas. Like I say, about a third of those rockets being launched from the Gaza Strip falls back down into Gaza, and of course it's killing innocent Palestinians. But every death there by a bombing, blamed on Israel. And while we're speaking, so if Hezbollah takes the opportunity to launch 100,000, this could mean tens of thousands of innocent civilians in Israel being killed. The United States need to launch hard at Hezbollah, just take them out. And if Iran gets involved, and like I say, the activities of Hamas's attack, Iran, Hezbollah, funded, supported from Iran. This is Iran destabilizing the region. And Saudi Arabia, it has every reason to hope for the destruction of this theocratic Shia regime in Iran. That was driving the Abraham Accords, right? Because these Arab countries, the Sunni Arab countries in the region, see that, you know what? The Israelis are actually nice guys. We can do business with these guys. They can't do business with Iran. It's utterly destabilizing and threatening the region with a conflagration, a bloody jihad. These mullahs with Shia terrorism, destabilizing the region. So Saudi Arabia would like to see this theocratic regime removed and destroyed. And so would the people of Iran. Want nothing to do with it. The overwhelming majority of Iranians want this regime gone. And I mentioned this, the nuclear weapons program. So if Hamas launches its missiles and attempts some kind of attack, the United States, having warned Iran to stay out of this, takes out those nuclear facilities and capabilities and takes out Hezbollah. Doesn't have to declare war. No. Can let the Iranians decide. But at some point, this Iranian regime needs to be taken care of. And, who does not want, well, Hamas does not want peace. Iran does not want peace. But most of the rest of the world wants peace. Nobody more than the citizens of Israel. But they know that they're fighting for their survival in a very hostile neighborhood. So sometimes, war is not what you want. It is the least bad option. And it's up to Iran how this thing shakes out. But the United States needs to be ready, and hopefully those air defense systems will help. And I think the Biden administration, yes, it has told Iran, watch out. But it needs to be explicit as to what it means. It's said, like, if its troops and assets are attacked, it will come back hard. And yes, it's receiving some criticism as to why it's not doing so now. I think it's those weapon systems. I think it was Kirby, a spokesman, said, we will strike back at the time and the place of our choosing. I think that is very smart. Let's hope, though, they have the courage of their convictions and see what's plain for everybody else to see. I don't know what's going on with Tucker Carlson and Douglas McGregor here. This kind of weakness, absolutely not. It's an existential threat. It's for Israel and likely Saudi Arabia and the other Sunni Arab countries. They will be engulfed by these militant Sunni terrorist organizations that destabilizing their countries. Anyways, thank you so much for your time and attention. Please do drop a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. And yes, check out my book, Deconstructing Social Justice. It's available on Amazon. Not important because I wrote it. I wrote it because the issues could not be more important. Thank you so much for your time and attention. Bye-bye now.